Hegseth was on Fox News, and he was advocating for his friends to get help for his translator and his family and to get them out of harm's way as the Taliban retook control of Afghanistan. Joining our conversation now is host of the Independent Americans podcast, founder and CEO of Independent Veterans of America, Paul Rykov's here. Michelle's still with us. Paul, you were name-checked by the senator for your important work in advocating for these heroes, these people who helped keep men and women, Americans, alive. Your thoughts about this story that the senators helped draw attention to and that I'm sure you're working behind the scenes on?
Nicole, in my over 20 years in the veterans and national security space, I've never seen an issue that unites our community more than this one. I mean, you've got Pete Hegseth and Blumenthal agree that betraying our allies is awful. It's outrageous. It's un-American. It's bad for our national security. It's bad for our allies. But there's another really important part of this. This violates a sacred compact with our veterans. Veterans are experiencing some deep moral trauma when they hear that the people that they promised that we would keep safe, that our government promised we would keep safe, people who died for us, people who were wounded, people who took bullets for us, are now being hung out to dry, and even worse, they're being dragged off of our streets in the way the Taliban did it in Afghanistan. I've got two Iraqi interpreters that live in America now, Isam and Mohammed, who are shining examples of what can happen. We got them out, and they're here, and they're thriving. Another one of my interpreters, Sid, is still in Iraq, and I don't know how he's doing. But we are betraying not just our allies in Iraq and Afghanistan, but our allies around the world. And we're in such deep conflict with our American values that I hope this sends a shock across all parties and all Americans to understand that this is not what we do in America. And it's got veterans outraged. It's got our allies hanging out to dry, and it's got our enemies celebrating. If this is what you do to your allies, Putin, the North Koreans, everyone else are celebrating this moment in American history.
Well, Paul, what is the status and what is the prospect for helping and protecting these folks from the mass deportation program that Trump is implementing?
Like everything else, it's in flux, and we're now hearing about at least, I think, 2 or 3 Afghan interpreters who've been dragged off the streets by masked American agents, right, ICE agents. It's so demented because it's exactly the kind of stuff we fought in Iraq and Afghanistan. And now to see that kind of authoritarian ridiculousness happening here at home is really infuriating, but it's also unifying because veterans are now working together. Sean Van Diver, who the senator mentioned, and countless other folks across the veterans community have created kind of an underground railroad over the last 20 years for our Iraqi and Afghan allies, and they are uniting. And now American veterans are being paired with these Afghan allies to be kind of bodyguards, to be watchdogs, to say, if you're going to be in this situation, I'm going to be standing next to you. I will be your voice. So this is going to be a really important galvanizing organizing moment, not just for the veterans community, but I think for all Americans. And veterans are going to lead the way. We're going to stand with our brothers and sisters who saved our lives, even if that includes standing up to ICE agents and pushing to change these ridiculous policies that are hurting us all.
Hegseth's signal messages came from email classified secret. Your thoughts on this scandal that won't go away?
Remember Gomer Pyle? Surprise, surprise. Like, who is surprised by this? I mean, this is exactly what we've been sounding the alarm about for months. It's not over. They violated protocol. They exposed operational security. They put lives in danger, and they're hoping you forget. They're hoping that they can spin it into something else. But it's a serious issue, the serious of the highest level, and we don't even know if it's over. They could still be using these unsecure chats. They could be using other unsecure methods, and they want to just wave the magic wand and act like they're pulling a mind trick on you. I mean, everybody in the national security community knows that this is still an issue, and they must be held accountable. If it was if it was private Pete Hegseth, he'd be in Leavenworth right now in handcuffs or in a jail cell. So it shouldn't be any different if he's a Secretary of Defense.
Who is responsible at this point for making sure that there's oversight of something as basic of classified information being shared on Pete Hegseth's Signal app? Paul?
everybody. I mean, this is the thing you learn in basic training, is that loose lips sink ships, and everybody is responsible and everybody's accountable. So I've argued from the beginning that anybody who even went on to that Signal chat was screwing up and should have been held accountable. Even if they didn't put anything out, they knew what was happening. They were aware of what's happening, and they were compromising themselves and each other. So I think some members of Congress, especially veterans, have been trying to push forward some accountability. I think that needs to be more bipartisan. I want to see folks like Seth Moulton and Don Bacon coming together. We need senators from both aisles coming together and forcing accountability, because I'm going to keep coming back to this. He's overseeing operations every single day, and this is a pattern. So if it hasn't been corrected or even acknowledged, they could keep doing it, and next time it could literally mean people's lives. They got lucky this time. Nobody died because they disclosed this operational security information, but next time it could be much worse.
Well, we understand from reporting that hasn't been updated that he put a computer in his office to continue to be able to communicate on non-secure channels, Paul.
Yeah, they think the rules don't apply to them. I mean, and it's outrageous, because you're supposed to have the highest standard possible if you're in leadership in the military. And that's like, I wonder what Dick Cheney or Don Rumsfeld would say if a private was caught doing the kind of stuff that these guys have been doing, that Hegseth specifically has been doing. So it's about standards, which in the military, they've been talking a lot about raising standards and improving the warrior ethos. Well, that means ensuring that the standards are in place and that they're in place for everyone. So there shouldn't be one set of rules for the political appointees and another set of rules for the men and women who are in combat right now and putting their lives on the line.